very good morning and welcome to this week's edition of The Ladies Club. Thank you so much for spending some time with us as we bring you the game changers, the trailblazers, and those women that just simply inspire. Today's theme is all about inspiration. Those ladies that empower us through their confidence, their positivity, and just through their motivation. And of course, we've come outside of the studio because we've got a very special show for you. There's this fitness craze all around the world where people are getting their fitness fix by being on a bike, watching a screen, and tapping into a live streamed class. And it's led by this central person, the Peleton leader, and they look after the well-being and the fitness of each and every single person in the class. So it's a really dynamic kind of thing. And we've actually got one of the Peleton instructors all the way from America, Ali Love, and yes, that is her real name. She is joining us on The Ladies Club. She's our guest today, our game changer. We'd love you to get involved in the conversation. It's so easy. Just use hashtag The Ladies Club across all social media platforms. Good morning and welcome to our show.
Good morning. Happy to be here. Thank you for having me.
What brings you to South Africa?
I've been fortunate enough to travel 16 hours from New York City to come in for Girls Night Out ZA here with Adidas and Amanda DuPont, where we brought out 40 women and we worked out together. We had intimate conversations, we got to know each other, and just really impact the community differently through conversation and sweat.
It's amazing because your work as a Peleton instructor is about making the world a smaller place by bringing people from all over the world into one class, and they can join from absolutely anywhere. But you've traveled half the way across the world to actually come and have a more one-on-one interaction. Yeah. Why are those two things, like, as different as they are? Why is it important also to have this one-on-one interaction?
So being a Peleton instructor, one of the things that's really important to understand is that our community is vast. They're different, but they're all the same. I always say that while everyone is different, we all have the will to be better. So indoor cycling has been something that has been known, but what we've done is take it to a different level in terms of you have a live leaderboard. I teach 50 live students in a class. There's 4 cameras, where there's a producer downstairs cutting the class. And then on my leaderboard, people can tune in live from across the globe to take that class in real time. Once the class is done, and class can range from 15 minutes, 20 minutes, to 60 minutes. Once the class is done, it goes on demand and it stays there. And so you can always revisit that class. And in the event you miss that class live, you can take it on demand in real time. And one of, again, the unique things about Peleton of bringing the community together is that you're never pretty much alone in a class. If you go back and take it on demand, there's usually someone in real time taking that class with you across the world. So again, I'm very grateful to be here. I get to see South Africa. I've never been here. It's my first time. It is incredible.
You love it?
I love it. Thank you for having me. I'm like,
the people.
The culture is just like, I went to, is it Neighborhood Goods?
Oh, yeah.
Oh, I had the best time. Neighbor Goods, thank you. I had the best time. Just like walking the streets, like just the vibe has been incredible. So very grateful to be here.
Well, we'd love to have you back. Okay?
Thank you.
You're welcome anytime here in Mzansi. So what we usually do at the beginning of our show, we like to say a quote. So this week's quote comes from another superstar on Instagram. Her name is Cassie Ho. She's a well-known fitness guru and Instagram superstar, fitness influencer behind the mega popular Bloggalates fitness channel on YouTube. She said, if you want it bad enough, you'll find a way to make it happen. And I think that what's really important about what you do and what I'm sensing from you is that you actually want to make really valuable things in people's life accessible and make it workable for them, because that's the thing, nobody's life is exactly the same.
I think fitness, and when it comes to just my holistic approach on life, it's making sure that you're changing the experience that people are having. So it's not about trying to put, you know, a square peg in a round hole, like you should do fitness like this, or you should do wellness like this, or you should do women empowerment like this. It's making sure that we understand that, yes, the world is diverse, and the way we approach it is completely different. And while everyone wants it bad enough, most people will say that we all want it bad enough. The reality is that we don't have the tools most times, or the information or the knowledge or awareness to learn how to get, or to know how to get to from point A to point B. And I think that my job in the world is to problem solve. It's to make sure that that journey is a little easier, that journey is padded with inspiration that really motivates you, that's aspirational, that's actionable, that equips you with information to say, you know what, I know that I want it bad enough, I just don't know how to get it, but if I listen or learn or research or do X, Y, and Z, it helps me to the next step, to the next level. So I do agree, yes, with Cassie, like it is if you want it bad enough, you will get it, you will make it happen. But it's important to understand that it is our job as women in the community, as women of this world, to make sure we are informing and we're providing information that's realistic, that's approachable, that's digestible to influence the journey to which you want to get from wherever you are to your next destination.
Key word until the next part of the Ladies Club is workable solutions. We'll continue our episode with Ali Love. Remember, you can get involved on social media, hashtag the Ladies Club. We'll be back after this. Welcome back, you're watching The Ladies Club. Thank you so much for staying with the show. We are outside of our usual studio and we've come on site because we've got a very special guest, a fitness enthusiast, Ali Love. She's a Peleton instructor, she's a certified health coach, she's an Alvin Ali trained dancer, and she is the founder of the Love Squad. But it's more like Self-Love Squad. We started our conversation in the first part. Tell us where your interest in health and wellness actually came from. Were you like always a sporty child?
At the age of 9 years old, I was hit by a car. I'm from Miami, born and raised with my mom and dad and my sister. And at 9 years old, I was hit by a car. I broke my left femur. It scarred up my body, broke my teeth. I was in the hospital for 7 days. And it was very challenging, obviously, for my family to go through. And it was a moment that we weren't sure that I was going to pull through. As a little tiny kid getting hit by a car, it was traumatic. And it took a toll on my body. And it was the moment, and I think this was a pivotal moment in my life that I would never change, is it was a moment after being in the hospital for like 4 or 5 days, because we had to wait. I laid in the bed with the weight at the end of my legs, separating my bones, my hip, because it was broken, because they didn't have a pin to go in my hip in the US to fit a little girl, because most older people break their hips, so not kids. So we had to wait for one to be made and then shipped from China, and then to have the surgery. So I was sitting in the bed, and we were just about to go have the surgery, and there were some complications. And I remember my mom telling me, you know, listen, it is, and you can imagine as a mother standing bedside in the hospital next to your 9-year-old little girl. She told me, she's like, it's up to you if you want to live or if you want to die. Like, I can't save your life. God is the only one who can save your life. And if you pray and if you believe and if you fight, then, you know, you can live. And it was one of those things where I'm not sure that I could conceive at that age, or even now, how big of a decision that was to give to such a young child. Yeah. But it was a pivotal moment because that was the time I decided that I would always live. I wasn't just going to be alive, I was gonna live my life. And by the grace of God, I pulled through. It built the relationships between my family a lot stronger. My zeal, my zest for life became obviously way more robust, because anything almost being taken from you, especially your life, you value it more. And it was then that I realized, you know what, I want to use my body. And the doctor told my mom, you know, she will have a hard time walking, but she'll probably never be an athlete, she'll never run. So just keep that in mind, like manage her expectations into the career path that she goes. So it was knowing that news, and of course being the little girl that I was like, oh wait, you said I couldn't do this? I'm gonna go for it, I'm gonna try. Yeah. And so literally the next summer, after doing physical therapy, my mom put me in an after-school program with other kids after being homeschooled by myself, and they had dance. And I decided I wanted to dance, and so
Was it broken hip?
Well, it was like healing. I was going through like, you know, physical therapy every day. You have the physical therapist come, and so I was being trained to walk, and so I decided I wanted to like dance. They offered this course, I'm gonna take it with the other kids. And at the end of the summer program, the dance teacher came up to my mom and she's like, your daughter is really talented. And my mom was like, no, my daughter is not that. Like, you don't understand. And she's like, no, your daughter is talented. You should just talk to her about it. And it was ever since then, I decided I wanted to be a dancer. My mother put me in school. I auditioned for middle school, I got in. I auditioned for high school, New World School of the Arts, which is one of the best high schools for performing arts. To get in the US, I got in, I was accepted to go there. Yeah, my freshman year was when I kind of made my decision in terms of my career. I said, you know what, I wanted to be a professional dancer. And in order for me not to have anything stopping me, I went back to surgery to remove the pin from my hip. So I had surgery twice, to put it in at 9, and then around the age of 12, 13, to remove the pin from my hip because they said I would have, yes, and like I was healed, but they would say I'd have arthritis as I got older. So to prevent it, I didn't need it anymore. So my freshman year of high school, I went back, had surgery, I was out, not dancing for 8 months and going back to for physical therapy. The school let me stay. I studied dance history that time. And again, when something is taken away from you, you want it more. And so my sophomore year, I went after it. I started dancing again. Like I was doing everything, learning my curriculum.
Sorry, sophomore in South Africa, or like what age?
So this is probably 14, 15.
Wow, okay.
14, 15, yes.
Sure.
Yeah, so I went back after the surgery and I started learning my curriculum and dancing and went to a university to get a bachelor's in fine arts. So I studied with Alvin Ailey. I worked with a lot of companies when I was my senior year. And it was one of these things where I realized that it's one thing to be a dancer, it's one thing to follow and pursue your dreams. It's another thing to be motivated, and motivated in the sense of nothing's going to stop you, even when you physically cannot do what you love to do. So I wanted to dance, and so that's kind of how it was my gateway into fitness, into wellness, into health, into movement. It was understanding my body, understanding that I could break a glass ceiling even when my limitations were the fact that I couldn't walk. So it's finding other avenues to navigate and create the life that you want.
Did you do everything you wanted to as a dancer?
I did. And I decided my senior year, so this time I think I was 17, that I wanted to not pursue performing arts, because in New York, and it's, as a young kid on your own, dancing and going to university, it's really hard to financially support yourself and audition and get a job. It isn't the most lucrative career. It is definitely a passion, and I respect all dancers, and I want that to change, where dancers are athletes using their body every day. But it was one of those things, as you hear this thing about New York, you live with like 3 roommates and you make it happen and you follow your dreams. And so I kind of pursued that path, and I kind of deviated and kept the performance element and went into modeling. A friend of mine was like, you should model. And from dancing, concert dance, my senior year, I became a Knicks City dancer. So dancing at Madison Square Garden in front of 30,000 people, 41 home games. That was my entryway into the NBA. I started modeling, where in the daytime I was doing photo shoots and making sure I can support myself as a young woman and being proud in it.
All while you were studying?
Yes. Oh, wow. Yeah. Yeah. So it was one of those things where it kind of happened during my senior year, and I was studying and I was pursuing this art and exploring this new interest in the industry and saving money to go out into the world and support myself as a young woman, and all the while knowing I wanted to stay in New York.
Okay, and then how did it come to finding the Love Squad, and why was it so important that you like started this online movement, the Love Squad, and then what actually was born from it?
Most of us in the world, we find our careers 2 ways. Someone either tells you what you're good at, or you've known since you were a kid that I'm going to be an astronaut and no one's going to tell me otherwise, and I'm going to do this thing. And while I pursued my one track, I was going to be a dancer, this is what I was going to do, I was fluid enough and flexible enough in my career to listen to people who had been in this space for a longer period of time. And what I mean by that is that I pretty much kind of created a career by leaning into experts or people that I valued in terms of, here's what you're good at. Like, Ali, you should be doing this. And one of the things that came up was, when I was modeling, is like, you speak very well, maybe you should go into hosting, maybe you should go into camera work. So I decided to explore it a little bit more. I took classes. So I graduated, I was dancing for the Knicks, I was modeling. I started taking extra classes, continuing education classes, as a young adult. And I pursued hosting classes. And that's when I fell in love. I was like, this is the performing arts that I loved so much. I love sitting down with people and finding out about them and informing and inspiring through conversation. And so I moved in transitioning from dancing in the NBA for the New York Knicks to becoming the host of the Brooklyn Nets. And it was there, again, still 41 home games, where it goes from dancing in front of 30,000 people to speaking in front of 18,000 people. And while, as you know, being a host, as you continue to pursue it, in order to speak well, you should be able to write well. And so again, I went back to school to learn how to write well so I can speak better. And that's when I created Love Squad. It was there that I created a site and I started to write about the things that I knew. I knew how to manage a career. I knew how to do multiple things. And what I was doing was forging the slash generation. What I mean by that, I was this /this/this. I was not one thing. It was not a vertical career. It's a versatile career. And it was one of those things where my career is more of a jungle gym.
This is just part of the story. I'm going to have to stop you there because we're going to have to take an ad break. Our theme today on the Ladies Club, where you can get involved in the conversation on social media just using our hashtag the Ladies Club. The theme is really about those women that empower us through their positivity, through their confidence, and just through the way that they motivate us. We're going to continue our conversation with Ali Love after this. Welcome back, you're watching The Ladies Club, where we are inspiring you by bringing you confident and a positive woman. We're chatting to fitness enthusiast Ali Love. We're going to continue the conversation, but let's bring you another lady that has inspired us for many years. Our Trailblazers today is Laura Daniels. Laura is a well-known South African fitness model and owner of the brand Laura D. Born and bred in Klerksdorp, Laura has been modeling since the age of 15 and is also a kickboxing and MMA instructor. Last year, she took Vegas by storm, competing as a pro diva at the WBFF World Championships. She's judged many beauty pageants, fitness competitions, and has also released her own ebook. The Ladies Club salutes this trailblazer. So, Ali, I'd love to know who kind of has been your inspiration, especially where you say that your career, you're part of the slash generation, you're this slash this slash this, so you must have a whole host of different people that inspire you.
I would say right now Mr. Rogers is one of my biggest inspirations. Mr. Rogers and Malala Yousafzai. And I think it's the power and dynamic of someone as a young adult, such as Mr. Rogers, revolutionizing TV and how he was able to impact the lives of young children. And he was relentless in his pursuit of showing them how to navigate life through love, positivity, through honesty, and all the while doing it while it was entertaining. And I think Malala Yousafzai, she's done something similar but in a different trajectory, where she's used something such as tragic as being shot and almost dying to coming to the US and all over and making it global and speaking out to how it's important to educate kids. Education and knowledge is the path for change. It's a catalyst for change. It's a start of conversation. And I think that those two people inspire me, and it motivates me every day to keep going. It's like, how do and why do I want to continue to inspire or talk about the things that are relevant when it comes to women empowerment and building and navigating career? And it's because change starts with a conversation.
That's very interesting, because a lot of people will say now that it's easy to be an activist on social media because there's more than enough hashtags to follow, there's more than enough causes to support, but the actual, real, tangible value is not really there. I mean, how do you feel about that? Because that certainly is a criticism that I think a lot of people and activists on social media that have got a big social media following, that's what they have to confront, that actually their impact has real value in the real world.
So being on social media and being this concept of an influencer or having some type of following, there is a responsibility that comes along with that. And it is your responsibility to make sure that the conversation starters that you're having or the content that you're putting out is thought-provoking in a way that pursues empowerment, encouragement, and honesty. So there's one element there. When it comes to too much activism, whether it's on social media or any medium, I think the real issue or the real thing I'd like to highlight is there's no task too small that kind of neglects or highlights activism one's better than the next. And whether you want to start a hashtag and say you're standing for this, we need you to do your part, no matter how small. So I don't think there can be too many of anything. There can't be too much of good, right? And I remember sitting on a panel not too long ago, and a young woman who I respect said that activism is going and shopping local. So it doesn't have to be a hashtag. You don't have to have a huge following. Activism is standing up for your community and saying, you know what, single-use plastic is something that I'm not going to pursue or I'm going to limit. That is activism. No one needs to know about it. It's just how you pursue your life and your everyday activities. What are you using to navigate your life, and what are the words and the conversations you're starting by doing so? And just know activism does not have to be something grand. It can be small. It's how you live your life. You are an activist whether you want to be that or not, whether you have a hashtag or not, a following or not.
I mentioned when we went into the first ad break that you want workable solutions. That's really what you advocate for, that you want to give people practical advice.
Absolutely.
You know, something that they can actually listen to and be like, you know, I can really do that. That's actually pretty simple. Let me just try that. And is that what the Love Squad is about? It's about giving advice and starting conversations around helping people to do things that they can really actually do to better their lives?
Absolutely. Love Squad is an inclusive collective where we bring women together at a low to no cost so they have access to information. So we have a panel discussion. So we have a panel discussion around business. So it's more focused on building your business, building your brand. We have conversations whether it's around starting a business if you have an idea, navigating a conversation of negotiating your way at work if you have a vertical career as a woman, when you go into venture capitalists, if you have an idea and you're looking to take your business to the next level, how do you navigate those conversations? How do you handle your relationships when you have a lot going on? You know, how do you prioritize your kids when you want to continue to pursue your dreams?
It's like a sisterhood.
It's a sisterhood, more so it's a community, because you know what it is that everyone looks differently and everyone uses labels differently. And so it is an inclusive collective, and we talk about all things that empower and impact women in real life. So it's not like nothing wrong with like makeup or doing anything, like whatever empowers you. It's not we're gonna use anything that's vain to start the conversation. We're gonna start from the heart of it. Like, do you struggle with body issues? Do you deal with dysmorphia? Do you not have the confidence to go out and pursue and take the next step in your life or your career because you feel inferior? Let's talk about these things. And it's most times, in all cases, when we have a Love Squad event, it's never like you listen to me talk and the end all be all. You listen to the panelists. It's truly a conversation. We stop briefly, we interact, we have people offer insight, questions, statements. And I think it's truly the beginning, again, of this concept of like bossing up, going back to the basics. You don't have to know everything. You don't have to be perfect. You don't have to have the best resume to create change in the world, to create a company that is dynamic, that changes how we experience life. You just have to have the will to be better. And I think having access to information is the first step.
You've been here in South Africa with Amanda Dupont.
Yes.
What was it like working with her?
She is absolutely lovely. As soon as we met, it was chemistry in terms of finding someone that you can see is advocating for change and how she just lives her life. And I think that that's important. It's not about what you say, it's what you do, you know, and how you navigate. And people are watching. Like in South Africa, she's very, very popular. And globally, she's popular. But it's one of those things of encountering Girls Night Out ZA last night and noticing how these women are interacting and how motivated they were just by standing next to her and how inspired they were and how they were grateful for having that opportunity. Yeah.
You say that she inspires you and something that you guys have in common is the fact that you want to change, you want to see some change. If you could leave one thing changed in this world when you pass away, what would it be? I want everyone to recognize their light. And what I mean by that is there's a power in all of us. It is uniquely special, but also the same. And this light is what you lead with, because you don't lead with this light selfishly to only amplify yourself. You lead with this light to light the path or to ignite the path forward so that everyone follows you, so that everyone can step into their power and everyone can speak truth to power. And I think that that's the one thing I want to leave, is that in the most toughest times, in the heart, because life is hard. It is not easy. I don't want to sit here and say, wow, my life is great. I do all these things, but there are days that I'm still depressed. There are days that I cry. There are days that I'm sad. I'm overwhelmed. But if you can take a moment, feel all the feels, don't push yourself out of being in the space you are, but if you can tap into the light and know that there's a power in you unlike anyone else, and it's different, and it's unique, and it's special, and you can set forth and know that everything that you're doing is with the intentions and in the pursuit of making the person behind you have a better, you know, outlook or navigate life in a different way, in a better way. She really does live up to her name, because you and I have just been loved up by Ali Love. Lots of self-love. Thank you so much for being on the Ladies Club. Remember, you can continue the conversation. Ali is all over social media, and you'll be able to get involved in the conversations. Also, join in the Love Squad. Boss up, be your own best light that you possibly can. And until we meet again, remember that greatness is never ever given, it's always earned. For myself, Vaylen Kirtley, and our entire team, and Ali, goodbye.